my. Oh wow. All right. Just a little bit. Not even a little bit. Don't be scared. All right. All right.
Ready to have conversation while
Absolutely.
we are here.
Absolutely. Let's get it on the table and on the air and out there to the viewers.
No, I'm really waiting on you.
Oh, well, we just want to welcome everyone in the room. Come on in the room, everyone. We're welcoming all of our guests to tune in to the Stop the Violence podcast with your girl, Trinika Walker. Some of you know me as Trinika, and some of you all know me as um, a leader, some would say, a community activist, some would say. But I'm here right now today just as Trinika, a mother out of the city of Milwaukee, whom is hurt. Um, uh, just like a lot of other moms out there, I lost a son due to gun violence. 2018, it was August 6th. My son passed away. And I want to talk about it. I'm ready to share my story. I'm ready to help other moms get their story out. There's a lot of moms who seek justice, a lot of moms who's looking for a to be healed, looking for healing. Um, and we can do that together if we all just come together. So that's what this show is about. We want to reach those who may be in a place of needing a way out or needing some type of resource. And we hope that this show can bring you just that. All right. So, my son, William Earl Davis Jr., he was 17. A lot of the community know my son. He was a rapper. Uh, GTB Earl is what he called himself. I mean, and in fact, that he had a song, a rap song out here that I heard, but I really, really didn't listen until he passed away. And that's what got me the name Stop the Violence. His one of his songs, Grinding Hard, you guys can go and check that out later, but Grinding Hard, you'll hear my son say, moving through your hood looking like we trying to stop the violence. And that's what I heard shortly after he passed away. While I was in my thoughts and in my space, I was listening to his music. I wanted to be a little, I wanted to feel him. I wanted to be close to him. I wanted to, I had his belongings, and I just wanted to hear his voice. I played his songs over and over and over again after he passed away. But I did get that Stop the Violence from him. Once I looked up Stop the Violence, I saw a lot. It was out here. It was it's several groups out here with the name Stop the Violence. So I tagged 53206 to it. I attached that to it because that's where I'm from. Stop the Violence 53206 doesn't just mean 53206. It also means wherever you are in the city, wherever you are in the state, or wherever you are in the world. We're looking, if not to stop it, to at least slow it down. So 2018, August 6, 2018, I received a phone call from my daughter. And she said, Ma, it's on Facebook that Will was shot. And right then I didn't want to believe that, but I moved. I made a few phone calls. I got another phone call from my daughter again saying that, yeah, he shot and they're on their way to the hospital. I took a deep breath as I began to put on my shoes and my clothes. It was about maybe 11 o'clock when I got the phone call, 10:45, 11, almost 11 o'clock when I got this phone call. My heart dropped immediately. I can remember on my couch, I had just ate a bowl of chili, so I was relaxed and I was laid back. I was watching TV, and when I got that call, but I put on my shoes and I put on my clothes. I can remember not rushing. I can remember just taking it slow. I remember a heavy, just heavy pressure on my chest. And I called my pastor. My pastor, I told him that what I heard, the news that I was given, and he began to pray. He didn't ask questions. He just began to pray. And he said, Trenika, you do what you got to do. Keep me on the phone. I'm just going to be praying. I looked at my phone, and I really didn't have that much battery. I didn't really have that much juice on my phone, but I stuck my phone inside my upper pocket, and I began to lock up my house and leave and head towards the hospital. As I was driving down the streets on my way to St. Mary's, you can feel a void in the air. The streets was dark. And I can't even remember cars really being on the street at this time. It was like my path was clear. I was able to get to the hospital with no problems, not even a red light. So I get to the hospital, me and my daughter, and we got to the hospital. And as soon as we get there, there was we was greeted by a security guard. And the security guard, he kind of locked us out of the hospital. He shut the doors and he told us, you got to stay right there, just hang on. At this time, it was not told to me that there were 2 people who had passed away. And yes, it was 2. It was my son and the guy who killed my son. Both of them had passed away, and they both showed up at the hospital at the same time. So the security guard was trying to figure out who was who, as well as keep us in a place where we wasn't violent or hostile. Or he put some in a room and he put some in another room. The doctor eventually called us back to a private room. And it was me, my son's dad, his stepmom, and a few of my family members, my mom and my cousin and my other daughters. They had taken us back to another room. And as I'm going back to this room, I know what it is. You pretty much know. I was placed inside this room, but I couldn't hold myself in this room. It was too small, and I wanted to yell. I wanted to scream. Because I believe that they was setting us up to tell us some news, which they did. The doctor and the police detectives came into the room. The detectives were unwrapping their camera, and they was like, now we're going to show you some pictures. And I said, wait, hang on. Are you going to show us pictures of my son dead? And they said, we're going to show you some pictures of who we believe to be your son. And I said, well, show him to Dad, because I couldn't take it. They showed the pictures to his dad, Will Davis Sr. And he said his head dropped. So right then and there, I knew that was my son. I proceeded to storm out of the room. As I was leaving, I can hear the screams and the yells that were behind me. Those of William's sister and grandmother and father and the family that we had back there. They were all shouting and screaming. As I pushed my way out the doors were still locked. But as I pushed my way out, I opened the doors and there were well over 200 people, 200 folks outside waiting to hear the same news, waiting to hear something. I bust out of the door and people were looking at me and people were crying. And I said, my only words was, they got him. They got my boy. I ran to my car. I jumped in my car. And I just drove. I didn't know where I was going. But I ended up at my grandmother's house. She opened the door and I fell to the floor. At that point, I needed air. So I went back outside. Once I got outside, I was out there for about 5 minutes, and everyone that was at the hospital was outside my grandmother's house. We began to weep. We began to console each other, hug. And a lot of people were trying to tell me the story, what they had heard off of Facebook. But I didn't want to hear it. I was upset. But I was in a place where I just wanted to just cry out to God. For I knew that God would be the one that could help me. 2009, I was hit with stage 2 cancer. And I remember crying out to God then. And he helped me. So all I knew was to cry out to him at this time. After that, after crying out to God, talking to God, praying, I was able to stand and I was able to go forth and plan a funeral. My son had a beautiful funeral. Over 1,000 people was in attendance. He was very, 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 very loved. He was loved by so many people, and not only the people who knew him. There was people who just heard our story and they gravitated to us during this time. During this time, I did not have insurance, so I had to reach out to the community. We washed cars, we sold dinners. We had several different fundraisers, and we were able to pay for his funeral. His funeral was at Krause's, and it was a beautiful homegoing. After the funeral, I formed a group called Stop the Violence 53206 right out of my mother's garage. I made a post on Facebook asking the youth who would like to be involved and meet me there at such and such time. When I got there, they were there before I was. And I had over 60 youth members there in the garage that very same day. We came together. We held teen summits. We held prayer groups. We made Stop the Violence videos, just trying to get the attention of the youth so that we can continue on with Stop the Violence. I lost a lot of youth members to death as well as to the streets. The streets is big. The streets is, they're looking for something, and sometimes if they don't get what they want, the youth, they go out into the streets and they find it elsewhere. So I lost a lot of the youth, but I continue to keep going. I continue to try and bridge gaps. I try to communicate with those whom may not be in a good place due to violence. My son, her son took my son, or that mother is going through pain and she's angry because another mom's son had taken her son. I try to form a table where we can communicate. But the overall message is trust God. God can do it. If He's done it for me several times, He can do it for you. I know so many families who's been affected by gun violence, and I'm just going to read a few names if I can. My son, William Davis, Lynn, Trail from Chicago, Taman, JoJo, Tez, Keith, KD, Demetrius, Lil Jimmy, Jermaine. That's just a few. That's just a few. My list is so long. We'll be here all day if I read the list. But there's so many of my friends, so many people in the community who's lost sons and daughters, not just only sons, not just only daughters, but just family members, brothers, sisters. And I wanted to form a show where we can talk about it, where we can heal together, where we can come together to figure out what it is that we can do collectively to slow down the violence that's happening on our streets. There's so many mothers who's looking for justice. Kia Thomas, the mother of Diamond. Every day I wake up, I see a post that she's making. She's trying to receive justice for her daughter. And even though justice, we say justice meaning let's catch the killer, let's put him behind bars or him or her behind bars. That's what we hope. That's what we want to happen. But in all cases, that doesn't happen. In all cases, everyone doesn't receive justice. Some of our killers are still out here on the streets, while our loved ones are already buried. So we also want to encourage mothers and family members and those of who's in the community of hurt because they lost a relative to gun violence. We want to encourage you to keep your head up. We want to encourage you to keep going. We want to encourage you to continue to fight the good fight. I encourage you to stand. I encourage you to take a stand with me because I can't do it by myself. No one can do it by themselves. There's so many community leaders who's out here doing it. They're doing it. They're putting in the work. Their feet are on the ground. I know so many. And I'm encouraged by them. That's what makes me get up and do it. And I just want to encourage somebody that if I can do it, if I can try, because every day won't be a good day. Every day isn't a good day in my life. Every day I wake up, I got to shake the feeling that I lost a son due to gun violence. Every day I wake up, I got to shake the feeling that he was a 4.0 student. Every day I got to shake that feeling that he was in the 12th grade and was on his way to college. Every day I got to shake the feeling that I won't have a grandchild from my son, my only son. Every day I got to shake the feeling that started out with 5, and now I'm down to 4 children. And every day I got to find strength to stand for my other children as well as my grandchildren. This podcast is to those of you who's taken a major blow like I have. Not only did I lose my son to gun violence in 2018, just July 1st, 2022, my grandson was able to get a hold to a gun. And at 5-ish in the morning, he shot himself. He was only 3. So as I form a line of communication or communicating with viewers and those of you who's like myself, I'm also building myself up. I'm also encouraging myself to keep going in spite of my situation and circumstances. God chose me. I don't know why, but I'll say to you, you were chosen. You were chosen to do something. Whether it's seek justice, fight for justice, change your house, look at yourself in the mirror, build your altar. Whether it's getting out here in the community, taking a hands-on approach, linking with others, or it might be just a simple phone call, reaching out to someone just to say, I love you, I'm thinking of you. Because those phone calls is what got me here today. Like encouragement, lifting up one another is what keeps me standing. And I try to do that to others. I try to encourage one another. So that's what'll be going on this podcast. We'll be having viewers. We'll be having friends and people who I don't even know. Those who in the community who like to share their story, who like to get information out there in regards to their situation, their case. We want to talk to you. We want to open up our chairs so that you can come and speak. Speak to Milwaukee. Speak to our viewers in regards to what you experience. Not every story is the same. Me, on the other hand, I don't need to seek justice. But someone out there may need to be heard. Because a lot of times we're not being heard. It's hurtful that no one is listening to us. It hurts when we got to do tricks or we got to perform or we got to get in the limelight just to be heard. I really don't want the light. I just want to be heard. I can do this with a mask over my face. I just want you to hear us out. We need to come up with a way that we can come together and put a stop, put an end, or slow down this violence. It's moving so fast. It's moving super duper fast. Our children are affected. Our parents are affected, our grandparents. And this is what we live, the heartache we live with every day. Losing someone who should be here, someone who may have, like, do we really gotta die by the gun? Do we really gotta kill our own? Do we really have to hurt one another? Is the question. Do we really have to talk or communicate through weapons other than sound, our voices? You're taught to go to your brother or sister. You're taught to go to, those who you may not see eye to eye with. You're taught that. Some of us were. This podcast, Stop the Violence, we want to hear from you. We want to hear from you. We want to get the stories out there. We don't want anyone feeling sad, but this is a sad thing. Losing our children when our children supposed or should be burying us. It's sad. It's sad. As we open up the lines, as we grow a community base, as we grow our viewers, I should say, we're looking for ways that we can come together. We're looking for ideas to keep going. We're looking for good thoughts, positive thoughts. We're looking for love after being hurt. So if that is you, we welcome you to this podcast. We welcome you to share your thoughts, share your visions, even tell your story. If you have a story, you can reach out to me. Tronika Walker is my Facebook page. Tronika Walker is my Instagram page. I am Tronika Walker, the founder of Stop the Violence 53206 Incorporated. Today is the start or the pre-start of a show that we're trying to put together for you all, as well as myself. I know so many friends and who's lost to gun violence. We want to put a stop. We want to put a stop to gun violence. All right. And I just thank you all for listening. I thank you all for being a part of this. This isn't just my show. This is our show. We are all in this together. We're going to talk to one another back and forth, and we're going to receive ideas. We're going to be willing to share testimonies and high hopes of us coming together and putting a stop collectively on our gun violence, on the gun violence that's here in Milwaukee and that's going on across the world. I thank you all for listening to me. That's the end of the show. Thank you.